Hello there. Happy Monday. This is Cheryl, and this is Monday's mini Bible study called To Serve with Love. What it is a companion piece to what I've been doing for a couple of years now, and that's analyzing one woman of the Bible on Saturdays as a woman's discussion. Here is what we're doing too, but for men. So today I bring you another man in the spotlight. It's something about his life and lessons and his legacy that I think you would find interesting. The man in the spotlight today is named Bezalel. Bezalel. His story can be found in Exodus. He's also outlined in Chronicles. What his name means is in the shadow of God. That's what his name means. There's something interesting that I think that I can share about his life today, that if you would, if you desire, if you plan to study him out for yourself, here's 3 points that I truly think you'll find interesting. Before I get to the 3 points, let me tell you something else. What's interesting about him is that the Bible has it written that the Spirit of God was in him. Well, what's interesting about that? That phrasing is only spoken of 3 times in the Bible, and it's not in conjunction to Adam, Moses, or Abraham. That phrasing, spoken 3 times, the first time you see it is in Genesis when it says the Spirit of God hovered over the water, over the deep. The next time you see it is when Pharaoh is speaking of Joseph, and he says that the Spirit of God is in this man. So it is said and written of this gentleman. His name again, Bezalel. Well, the Spirit of God in Bezalel, because he was anointed. He was anointed to do a particular job, a complex job. He and his assistant was put over other craftsmen in order to build the tabernacle. What was the tabernacle back in that day? The portable sanctuary that went to and fro with the people of God in this story that we're telling you about today. Well, the anointing, let's speak about that. Usually when you hear that word, it always makes people think of who preach, who teach, who sings. But today, I'm reminding you that people carry the anointing on what they do across the board. You can find people of any sector of people who are anointed to do different jobs, and it's not within the church. The word anointing is not a religious word. Let's look at the mechanic. There's a mechanic that is self-taught. There's a mechanic that went to school and was certified. But then here comes along a man who knows how to tinker with the car and do what those other 2 that I pre-mentioned cannot do. What is that called? The anointing. That's being highly skilled from heaven. So this man, Bezalel, he had that. So now let's speak about the first point that I want to bring to you that I hope you would consider. Handpicked. You know how many people who get so upset and sad and frustrated because they go for a job and they were not selected? Well, you shouldn't be upset because those people are looking for a certain spec, a certain type. And hey, okay, if I don't fit your bill, it's all right. These men that I'm speaking of, and the particular one today, was handpicked by God. So let me speak to the leadership in you. If you are in the position to select people to work with you, to work in your business, work on your project. You want to make sure that they are handpicked of God to work with you. And it's the same when you are the one to be selected. We wouldn't get so down in the mouth if we understood to be handpicked for a particular job is what it's called. So, point number 2, let me speak to you about that. The Bible tells us about the ability and what God downloaded in the characteristics of Bezalel. He gave him the ability to have wisdom and understanding and skill. So what does that mean? God gave him the ability to know when to do a thing, why to do a thing, and how to do a thing. The characteristics of him was known to be that he was wise-hearted. What does that say to you? What does it say to me? That the character of a leader means everything. Bezalel was not just a craftsman among them. He was the teacher of them, the master craftsman that was the one that not only doing the work, but he was teaching. So there's a certain characteristic that should be in people who you work with. Some people are fantastic at what they do, but it's hard to work with them. So not only do we want to consider being handpicked for the job, not only do we want to know that, yes, that's the person for the job, but do they have the character? Do they have the ability? That's the next thing that we should be looking for. That's what this man's life and legacy is all about. The last point I want to leave with you is to ask you to consider dedicating that you do to God. Whatever it is that you are doing in life, whatever the job is, whatever your profession is, whatever your passion is, that you take it before God and ask him, God, make it God approved. God, anoint what I'm doing, that I will be highly skilled in that I'm doing, that I'll know when to make judgments, how to make judgments, and why I did what I do. The name of the man in the spotlight today, in the shadow of God. What that lets us know that God was near. It is the same that I wish for you today, that you in your creative leadership would be the best at what you do, and you recognize people who have the best in them to work with you. I'm Cheryl, and this is To Serve with